One gunshot, 3 bombs, 60 passengers trapped at 30,000 feet. In January 1971, a routine Korean flight became a battlefield in the sky, caught between two nations still at war. This is the story of the men who fought back and the 23-year-old who made the ultimate sacrifice. January 23, 1971. Korean Air Flight HL522. After 2 days of heavy snow had grounded all flights at Sokcho Airport, the skies finally cleared. 60 passengers and 5 crew crammed aboard an F-27 turboprop, desperate to get home. At 10,000 feet, the aircraft levels off. A flight attendant finishes serving beverages and returns to her station. In the back row sits a young man with neatly combed hair and a sturdy build. He rises from his seat and begins walking slowly up the aisle, his hand brushing against something hidden inside his jacket. A pistol, but this man is no criminal. His name is Choi Chun-il, 27 years old. He's a sky marshal, an armed security officer assigned to protect this flight. In 1971, sky marshals were mandatory on every Korean passenger aircraft. The reason was simple. Hijackings had become an epidemic. Between 1968 and 1972, the world experienced an unprecedented wave of aircraft hijackings. 325 incidents in just 5 years. Nearly one hijacking every single week somewhere on the planet. South Korea had already suffered its own nightmare. In 1969, a Korean Air YS-11 was seized by North Korean agents and forced to land in Pyongyang. The passengers were held for months, some never returned. After that disaster, Korean authorities scrambled to implement new security measures. Metal detectors at airports, reinforced cockpit barriers, and armed sky marshals on every flight. 20 minutes after takeoff, Choi is patrolling the aisle when it happens. A deafening blast rocks the aircraft. Passengers scream, smoke fills the cabin. When the chaos clears, there's a gaping hole in the cabin floor. Before anyone can react, a second explosion tears through the aircraft. This one strikes the reinforced cockpit barrier designed to keep hijackers out. The barrier is blown completely off its hinges. This is no accident. A man is standing in the aisle, holding another explosive device. He's just announced his intentions to the entire aircraft. The hijacker's name is Kim Sang-tae, 22 years old, from Gocheong County near the North Korean border. He storms toward the exposed cockpit, bomb in hand. His demand is simple: fly this aircraft to Pyongyang. To North Korea. Inside the cockpit sit 3 men: Captain Lee Gang-heon and co-pilot Park Wan-gyu, both veteran pilots with Air Force backgrounds. Behind them, trainee pilot John Myong-se observes from the jump seat. Kim screams his ultimatum: "Take me to North Korea or everyone dies. I have already accepted death, have you?" Captain Lee faces an impossible choice: comply and deliver 60 innocent people to a hostile nation, refuse and risk immediate detonation. He makes a split-second decision. Fine, we'll go north. Just stay calm. Then he banks the aircraft, but not northward. He turns east, back toward Gangneung on the coast. He's buying time. Secretly, he keys his radio and transmits a coded message. Hijacker on board. While Kim's attention is focused on the terrified passengers, Lee plots his next move. There's one last chance. Ganseong Airfield, a small military runway just south of the demilitarized zone. If he can land there without Kim noticing, they might survive this. Lee begins descending toward Ganseong. He lowers the landing gear. They're so close to safety. Then Kim looks out the window. This isn't North Korea. He recognizes the South Korean landscape below. His eyes go wild with rage. "You're trying to trick me. Turn this plane around now." He begins waving the explosive device erratically, screaming threats. One wrong move and he'll kill everyone aboard. Lee has no choice. He retracts the landing gear and climbs back into the clouds. The escape attempt has failed. At that moment, a new sound cuts through the cabin, the unmistakable roar of jet engines. 2 South Korean Air Force fighters have intercepted the aircraft. They're firing warning shots, tracer rounds streaking past the windows. Kim sees the military jets and erupts again. "You called them. You radioed for help." "I'll blow us all up right now." Captain Lee's response is a masterpiece of desperate improvisation. "Those aren't South Korean jets," he says calmly. "We've already crossed into North Korean airspace. Those are your friends coming to escort us to Pyongyang." It's an outrageous lie, but Kim hesitates. He presses his face against the window, trying to identify the aircraft through the clouds. For a moment, everyone holds their breath. The fighters are clearly South Korean. If Kim recognizes them, it's over. In that moment of distraction, Sky Marshal Choi sees his chance. He's been watching, waiting for the perfect opportunity. He draws his pistol, takes aim, and fires. One shot. The bullet strikes Kim directly in the forehead. The hijacker collapses instantly. But as he falls, someone screams a warning that freezes everyone's blood. The bomb, it's still active. As Kim falls, the explosive device tumbles from his hand toward the cockpit floor. The fuse is burning. In that fraction of a second, someone makes a decision that will echo through history. Trainee pilot John Myong-se doesn't hesitate. He throws himself from his seat and wraps his entire body around the falling bomb. He pulls it tight against his chest, shielding everyone else with his own flesh and blood. The bomb explodes. John absorbs the full force of the blast. His body is torn apart, but the cockpit survives. The pilots survive. The passengers survive. The cockpit is filled with smoke and blood. John lies motionless, his body destroyed, but the aircraft is still flying. Captain Lee forces himself to focus. 3 bombs have now detonated inside his aircraft. The airframe is badly damaged. He's already passed Ganseong airfield. There are no runways left before North Korea. He makes a desperate decision. The beach, a 2-kilometer stretch of sand along the eastern coast near Sokcho. It's their only chance. "Attention all passengers. Fasten your seatbelts. We are making an emergency landing. What happens next will determine if anyone walks away from this nightmare." With no runway, no brakes, and a crippled aircraft, Captain Lee guides the F-27 toward the beach. The wheels touch sand. The aircraft shudders violently, throwing passengers against their restraints. Sand sprays everywhere as the plane skids forward. Finally, impossibly, the aircraft comes to rest. They've stopped just 10 kilometers south of the demilitarized zone, 10 kilometers from North Korea. Emergency crews rush to the scene. When they pry open the doors, they can hardly believe what they find. 60 passengers, 5 crew members, dozens of injuries, but only 1 fatality. The hijacker himself, shot by the Sky Marshal. Among the injured is trainee pilot John Myong-se. Somehow, he's still alive. Barely. He's airlifted to Seoul for emergency surgery. In the helicopter, medics fight to keep him conscious. His body is devastated by shrapnel. His pulse is fading, but he's trying to speak. The medics lean close. With his final breath, John whispers his last words. "Are the passengers safe?" The bomb. Those were the last words he ever spoke. John Myong-se died thinking not of himself, but of the 60 strangers he had saved with his own body. As John's body was laid to rest, investigators worked to understand how this tragedy happened. Kim Sang-tae, the hijacker, was 22 years old from a village near the North Korean border. His older brother had defected to North Korea before the Korean War. Was he a North Korean agent? The investigation found no direct evidence of foreign involvement. With Kim dead, his true motivations died with him. But one thing was clear: security at Sokcho Airport had catastrophically failed. Police officers had conducted only cursory searches. Some passengers had boarded without even showing identification, their way smoothed by bribes. The crew members who saved Flight HL522 were decorated as national heroes. Every crew member received the Order of National Security Merit. Captain Lee Gang-heon, whose quick thinking and steady nerves brought 60 people home alive. Co-pilot Park Wan-gyu, who never wavered at his station. Sky Marshal Choi Chun-il, whose single shot ended the hijacking. And John Myong-se, the 23-year-old trainee who gave everything he had and everything he would ever be. His medal was placed beside his pilot's uniform, which he never got the chance to wear. In the entire history of aircraft hijackings worldwide, what happened that day remains almost without parallel. 3 bombs detonated, emergency beach landing, 60 passengers, 0 passenger fatalities, a miracle written in one young man's sacrifice.